It's been a minute since I've talked a little bit about ChatGPT. One of the things that I really like talking about in the state of California is the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, specifically the Smarter Balance Assessment. Not just any Smarter Balance Assessment, I like to talk about mathematics. We tend to not do as well in mathematics in most districts in California. Even if you're doing better statistically by maybe 1% year over year, there seems to be something of a trend where we kind of decline and then maybe go up in a grade level. But by the time students get to 11th grade, we don't do as well. And I wonder why. And well, what area could we focus on so that we can support school districts, or maybe you as a parent can focus on your own child? So let's go into the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress and ChatGPT and kind of make a visual of what is happening with the data. This is the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. Now, there are 6 different slides or maybe little baseball cards or sections you could look at. You have ELA and math, you have science, then you have the alternative ELA and math, the alternative science, you have the English language proficiency assessment, and then you have the Spanish reading language arts assessment. We're going to go in here. Now, if you click on that, you will get the state of California. And when you see this in the state of California, you will get this view. You'll see English language arts and mathematics. You can even change it by year. This will tell you met or exceeded, so the blue and the green together. And then you can see the met and exceeded in mathematics. Note that in California, 48.82% of students in the state of California met or exceeded. Now that's grades 3rd through 8th grade and grade 11. Same with mathematics. Overall, 37.3% of students met or exceeded standards in mathematics. If you want, you can change schools. Just type in your school name, wait for it to think, and then click on the appropriate school or district. I'll let you play with that. But then the next thing that you can do is you can select the view more details. We will go to view more details in mathematics, and you can see the overall for each grade level. Now, you don't see the little donut here, but you do see not met, nearly met, met, and exceeded for all of the grade levels. And then you get the overall. And this overall was that donut that you saw, the circle. Then you can come down and you can see the number of students enrolled, the number of students tested, number of students with scores, and then the average score, scale score. You can see the percentage. Now, if you hover over up here, you can see the percentage as well. So, for example, this is 21.48% for 3rd grade, and it should say 28.4% here. That's, to me, that is an area that we're pretty good at looking at. But you can go to the composite area claims for math and see concepts and procedures, and then the other composite mathematical practices. Mathematical practices, if we go to the area claims, note that this is broken into 2. So problem solving and modeling and data analysis, and then communicating and reasoning. Concepts and procedures are where the standards live. The other 2 are the thinking behind the mathematics, like the avenues of thinking and then navigating the problem solving process. So if we want to see how we're doing overall, this might not be very visual, but what you can do is you can take a screenshot of this, go into ChatGPT, I already uploaded it for convenience, and ask it this very long prompt, which you can find in the description. We're going to select this arrow, let it do a little bit of thinking, and then what will come out, which I'm going to scroll because I've already done it, is this. You can see all of the areas that are above standard. So notice that that's purple, fuchsia, and lime green. So if I go back to this, each one of these sections has above standard. We have above standard in each of the area claims. So this graph is showing the above for all 3 of those claims. Concepts and procedures is purple. You can kind of see a trend over time. Communicating and reasoning, and problem solving and data analysis. Now, these are the students who are above standard. I do want to point out that the above standard is a rubric. It is not a scale score. Now, near standard, this is what I like to really look at. Notice that we have a lot of students in communicating and reasoning that are near standard. Not very many students that are in concepts and procedures. Now, notice that this one is higher and above standard. And then this year, actually, you can kind of see that problem solving and data analysis really up there with near standard. And then when we come down here, you can see another trend. And this would be an interesting, a huge conversation if you're a principal and you want to look at this. It might even be as a parent. You can see your own child's composite claim scores on the student score report. We can throw that into ChatGPT, but you don't want to throw in their actual student score report because it has their student ID in there. You might want to cut that off. Don't just line it out. You want to get rid of it, like take a screenshot of just the important things and remove their name. That's very important because that's not public. Your student's information is not public. So this is what it shows you. Now, so it probably has finished and it's done it in an HTML for me, which I don't want. I would love to see the images again like you did above for my demo. Now we're going to let it think through that again. But here they are much tighter, more visible scales because I had to actually change the scale. And if you let me show you why, because when I first did it, kind of did it on a 0 to 100%. I wanted the scale to be tighter so that I could actually see below and the near and the above. So I changed the scale slightly. I wanted you to see that this scale, 0 to 100, doesn't really show the trend as well. But if you come down here, you really can see the difference. Like most of our students are living in the near standard for the thinking behind mathematics. We just need to kind of push them over just a tipping point so that they can actually navigate the problem solving process and go through the avenues of thinking. And we call those the standards of mathematical practices. And I'll let you decide what you want to do with that, or you can go to my other video on the mathematical practices. But this is very interesting to look at. And before this, I actually put this in Google Sheets, came up with the same thing to show that you can do this in Google Sheets. You can even change the colors, but look at how fast ChatGPT has done this for me. And it's nice. Like by the time we get to 11th grade, you see a trend. And that could be a lot of factors. So don't make a judgment that students don't understand mathematics, but not all students are going to college for math, so they may have only taken 2 years of math. Or they may be in calculus, for example, in 11th grade, and the math that they're doing here is algebra 1, 2, and some geometry. So they may need to revisit it before they take the state assessment because they might be thinking calculus formulas. So nothing wrong with that. So really something to think about. I hope that you can take my prompt and do the same thing. I will try to make it tighter for you just in case it needs to do a little bit of the tweaks. But this is kind of a fun activity if you really want to know how your school or your district's data is performing or your students are performing. It tells you a scope, especially for the entire district. If you're a 3rd through 6th grade school, or if you're a school that's 3rd through 8th grade, or you just want to see the entire district. You can even do it for 1 grade, but there's something to be said about doing it for all of the grades. Now you can use any data, throw it into ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT, like, what is the best way that I can visualize this? Whether it's a line graph, whether it's a bar graph, maybe it's a scatter plot. Ask ChatGPT to do that with you and for you. If you have questions about what that could look like, if it's just not working, put it in the description and I will gladly help you through it. The other thing is that you really want to remember to not put in personal information. Make sure you use the public data. If you're using personal information, make sure you get rid of all information that can identify it, like your student or your child's name, if there is a student ID, things like that. You just want to use the data that's in front of you and then have ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever platform you want to use come up with an analysis. But I will tell you that ChatGPT right now, even with all my prompts, is doing a better job than the other platforms. Doesn't mean it won't do it, but I can get ChatGPT to create this and even create it as a download. Thank you so much for watching.